Good morning, dear students, and welcome back to our lesson which talks about velocity. Let's start our session by defining a speed. A speed is a physical quantity that represents how fast an object is moving. So the speed represents how fast an object is moving. Today we are going to learn about average speed. Here we have two cars, a blue car and a yellow car. The blue car is moving on a straight road. Takes 30 seconds to reach the other side. So the time taken by the blue car to reach the other side is 30 seconds. Here we have a yellow car which is moving adjacent the blue one. So it's moving beside the blue one and it takes 20 seconds to cover the same distance. So the yellow car took 20 seconds while the blue car took 30 seconds. Of course, to cover the same distance. So can we conclude which car moves faster? Okay, here, can we conclude which car moves faster? Your answer is right. The yellow car is the winner. Why? Because the yellow car covers the same distance as the blue car, but in a shorter time. So, the yellow car is faster. Thus, to determine how much an object is fast, we have to determine the time taken by this object to cover a specific distance. Thus, we have to know the time factor. So, the first factor which we have to know in order to determine the speed of an object or the average speed is the time. So here we have two cars, the yellow car and the red car. During 30 seconds, the yellow car covers a distance d1. Okay, this is the distance d1. And the red car covers a distance d2, also during 30 seconds. As you see here, d2 is greater than d1. And for example, the yellow car covers 20 meters during 30 seconds, while the red car covers 40 meters during 30 seconds. So the red car covers a greater distance than the yellow car, but during the same time. So can you deduce which car moves faster? Yes, that's true. The red car is the winner. Why? Because during 30 seconds, the red car covers the greater distance. So the red car is the faster, since it covers a distance greater than that covered by the yellow car. So the winner is the red car. Thus, also, the average speed or the speed of an object depends on the distance covered. So we have the distance factor. Thus, the speed depends on the time and on the distance covered. So as a conclusion, in order to determine the speed of an object, two physical quantities should be known. First, the distance traveled by the object during the motion and the time taken to cover that distance. So the average speed, which is denoted by V average, V and average, AV, of a moving object is defined as the total distance covered, denoted by D, by this object, over the total time needed to cover this distance, which is delta T duration. Okay, so V average is equal to D, which is the distance covered, over delta T, which is the time needed to cover this distance. And here is the rule. So V average, which is the average velocity or the average speed, is equal to D over delta T. D, which is the total distance covered by the moving object, and its SI unit is meter. Delta T, it's the duration, it's the time needed to cover this distance, and its SI unit is seconds. And the V average is the average speed, its SI unit is meter per second. Of course, you know, distance is meter, time is seconds, so meter over second, it's the unit of V average, is the SI unit of V average. So V average is equal to D over delta T. D is the distance covered by the object over the time needed to cover this distance. You can memorize the rules of V average by using this triangle also. In this triangle, you divide it into three parts. At the top, you always write the distance, okay? And in the other two parts, you write the speed and the time. You can replace the time by the speed or the speed by the time, but the distance must be at the top. Here you have divided by on this line, and here you have times. So if you need to find the distance, you hide up the distance. You still have speed and time. Between them you have multiplication. So distance is equal to speed times time. If you have to calculate the time, you hide up the time and you get distance and speed. Between them divided by, so distance divided by speed. If you need to find the speed, you hide up the speed and you get distance and time. Between them we have divided by, so distance divided by time. Of course, here you can use symbols. Symbol of distance is d, symbol of speed is v, and symbol of time is t. Okay, so you can use symbols in order to memorize also the rules. For here we reach the end of our session for today. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.